And 2 days after SignalGate exploded into the open, the Trump White House is scrambling to handle the fallout. Its first big major embarrassment since President Trump returned to office. Even amid a show of unity from Team Trump, big questions have emerged around Trump's envoy, Steve Witkoff, being in Russia at the time of the leaks and a potential national security nightmare. Here's a detailed report.
You have said all along no war plans were discussed, no classified material was sent. You have the Secretary of Defense saying that. You have the Director of the CIA, the Director of National Intelligence, the FBI Director, all testifying to that under oath, and they should be trusted with that.
The White House, that's known little but aggression and being on the offensive in the little over 2 months since Trump returned, finds itself on the back foot as big concerns blow up over U.S. national security. In the spotlight is this man. Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff was in Russia at the time when the leaked signal text stream was active. This is according to CBS that cites data from flight tracking website Flight Radar 24. According to the flight tracking information, Witkoff arrived in Moscow on March 13th around noon, CBS reported. He met with Putin until about 1:30 a.m. local time the next day. The Atlantic reported CIA Director John Ratcliffe disclosed the name of an active CIA officer in the text stream at around 5:24 p.m. ET, or about midnight in Russia. The White House stresses, however, that Witkoff did not have either his personal or government-issued phone with him at the time. It says he only had, quote-unquote, a device with a classified protected server by the United States government, and he was very careful about his communications when he was in Russia. In her defense of the use of Signal, Intel Chief Tulsi Gabbard came forward to cite its encrypted safety, saying it comes pre-installed on government devices. Gabbard said Signal was mentioned as a security example to be used by highly targeted individuals.
In December of 2024, CISA stated, quote, "We strongly urge highly targeted individuals to immediately review and apply best practices provided in the guidance to protect mobile communications, including consistent use of end-to-end encryption." And they named Signal as an app as an example of such an end-to-end encrypted messaging app.
Even while completely backing his officials, is Trump on the back foot too? The president, who brushed aside the leak as a witch hunt, did tell a Fox News reporter that he would confirm with Defense Secretary Hegseth whether or not the information was classified. White House officials have tapped Elon Musk to investigate how journalist Goldberg was added to the Signal chat. It is an unprecedented wave of embarrassment for the Trump administration, and the ripples are not dying out soon. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
And with us on the broadcast this minute is Lieutenant Colonel Daniel L. Davis, retired military expert and also host of Daniel Davis Deep Dive on YouTube. With us from Sterling. Thanks very much for being here. Let me begin by asking you for your assessment of the latest coming in. Also, the White House saying that they will ensure this is never repeated. But the fact is that this should not have happened in the first place.
Well, there's no question that it shouldn't have happened, and there's also no question it's a huge embarrassment for the administration, and raises some troubling questions as well. Because as Director Gabbard said in that clip you showed just a second ago, there is an authorization by the security detachment within the Department of Homeland Security, CISA, that authorized the use specifically of Signal for end-to-end encrypted communications between senior government officials. But that's separate from whether they can talk about classified information. Those have separate rules, and any kind of classification, especially if it's in the top secret area, can only be discussed by approved secure devices within the United States, which of course would preclude the possibility of this happening there, because you can't bring someone even by accident, a journalist or something, because they don't have that device, they don't have that kind of clearance. So it's unclear why they were using Signal for something where you talk about mission operations, literally before, during, and after the military operation in Yemen, it's not clear why they were using Signal as opposed to these other ones, which most of them have access to. But it is a problem that they had, because you can see, even though the app is encrypted end to end, it's not foolproof like the secure devices that we have, but also it opens up the possibility for an accident like this to allow someone from the outside in.
Indeed, and no wonder the journalist did say and mention that he couldn't believe it at first. That would be the immediate reaction, right? Let's also talk about the allegations against Steve Witkoff and the way in which, those statements seem to defend him, but at the same time, a lot of questions remain unanswered.
Well, there certainly are a lot of unanswered questions, and I'm sure that there's lots of investigations are going to be going into that to find out, exactly how it happened. Because one of the biggest ones is, how did this reporter actually get added in the first place? Because you have the National Security Advisor, Mike Waltz, who by most reports is the one who created the group. So it would almost imply that he had to be the one to add him in there. And yet he said in other interview when he was actually in a meeting with the president that he didn't know the guy, didn't have his information in his phone book, etc. So it's unclear to him how it got in there. But that may be one of the bigger questions, because if he did not have him in his address book and accidentally add him, which, is something that people do periodically in these kinds of environment, but if it wasn't in his phone book, then the real big question is, how did it get in there and how did he get added? Because that could imply that there's a bigger security risk that we don't yet know about.
All right, we're leaving it there for the moment. Thanks very much for joining us with those perspectives.
Thank you.
To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.